Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is Leading Off, brought to you by PrizePicks. It is me, Joey P. Joe P's up here. With me is the Welsh, and it's Monday, which means we're going to recap all of the action from this weekend in Major League Baseball, and there was a lot of it, a lot of fun stuff, some runs scored in that game between the Angels and the Toronto Blue Jays. Ooh-wee, if you had the over at 20, you did well.
You know what I had, Joe? I
what'd you
had
have?
the first five spread for the Angels, which was amazing because in the sixth inning they gave up another 6, and I was able to cash that. It was a weird weekend of bets too. Props were wild, missing them by crazy amounts, total bases, guys getting walked, but it was fun. It was very fun.
Yeah,
money making.
And the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks are here this morning, already getting some love. Here's some love here from our friend Jacob. I'm forever in y'all's debt for Ohape. That's right. And he did correct himself with the Ohape. It's a new name.
Ohape. Yeah.
So, another home run for him. But look, let's get to the headlines because we got a lot to do today. And the first headline has to be ONeil Cruz fracturing his ankle. He's going to be out for months now. So this is a huge blow to the Pirates, huge blow to a lot of fantasy teams, especially those people who were very bullish on him in terms of ADP. You know, his ADP was one of those Welsh that did fluctuate quite a bit. There were people who were super aggressive on him, other people not so much. Certainly, this is a major blow to those people who have him, but especially those who paid the iron price for him. So I'll ask you this question right now. What do you do? We've talked about Bryce Terang. We've talked about some other guys here who've been floating around that shortstop waiver wire. So who are you looking to pick up or maybe even trade for at short?
Well, I mean, if you're in a league where you can pick up a Bryce Terang, I think that's a play. I think that's totally a play that you can do. Unfortunately, I was in a league where I lost ONeil Cruz, where I had to pick up Orlando Arcia. So that kind of tells you where that was in TGFBI. I was aggressive. I was very aggressive because, the high output, the potential high output of homers and stolen bases. Here's the deal, like everything. You're not going to be able to replace it. You're definitely not going to be able to replace him off the wire. Maybe the best piece would be like a Bryce Terang. He continuously keeps hitting. He's going to steal some bases. You're just not going to be able to make up the power. As far as the trade market goes, I will tell you this. I do have a player who's a shortstop who's on my top 5 trade for on the video that's coming out tomorrow here on Fantasy Pros. But he's a higher name who's really struggling of a player that maybe you can trade for if you want to check it. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to do it in one piece. Maybe you could go and find a nice power bat and a guy like Terang can help with the stolen bases and you can piecemeal it. But unfortunately, it's not the play. And you know what I had, Joe? In that league where I took ONeil Cruz, I also took Wander Franco. I did a lot. I don't know why I did it this year, but I did a lot of shortstop pairing. Corey Seager and Wander Franco.
Well, it's because they were the talent was. I mean, why
where
wouldn't
the
you do
talent
that?
was? Exactly.
I've got in my home league, I've got Corey Seager and Wander Franco. Why? Because it's it's good practice. Looking around too at some of the shortstops, I'm looking at the consensus on Fantasy Pros right now. Terang is still consensus, just 22% rostered. Now, again, that takes into a lot of leagues that are short-term leagues, 10-team leagues, things of that nature. I'm sure on the CBSs, it's probably close to like 35, 40 at this point.
Yeah.
Some other names out there as well that, buy low, perhaps on a Marcus Semien, another slow start for him. Looking around some other guys too. Ahmed Rosario hitting 213. I mean, it's another guy maybe you could pull away in a trade. Anthony Volpe hasn't been great, so maybe somebody who, is a little worried about him getting sent down, maybe you can pluck him away.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the play is to spend up to replace, or do you not take out from strength and just build a little bit? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, do you want to trade a bit? Let's say you've got a strength of starting pitching. Do you want to trade that strength of starting pitching to go and acquire maybe a buy low shortstop option? Or do you just want to try to put a Band-Aid on it from the wire and hope the rest of your team picks up? What's the play for you?
The play for me is because he's out for 2 months, as I'm dealing Cruz in the deal, and I'm looking for a long-term solution. I'm looking for somebody. I'm trying to get a Corey Seager. I'm trying to get somebody who's a long-term solution. I hate to knock into the pitching for it. I'd rather be dealing from offensive players if I can. But look, 2 months is a long time. It's an ankle injury. If you draft him for stolen bases, what does it look like when he comes back? I don't know. But again, it's months, not weeks here we're talking about. So this is a huge blow.
I'd also say look for, not that it's going to matter, but I don't know exactly what they're going to do at the position. Maybe Liover Peguero is a guy that they're going to take a look at from the minors. I don't see a big move. Maybe Bay is going to get some time there. That's a possibility. He's a big stolen base option. Unfortunately, the Pirates are just not going to give us the great option. The other one that might be looming in people's heads, Nick Gonzalez did hit a homer the other day in the minors. Also probably not going to be someone unless the position really struggles. But I'm a little torn. I actually would love if we had that poll function and I don't know how we would type it, but it's like, do you band-aid the shortstop position or do you trade from to go?
I think you try to trade. It depends on what investment you made in Cruz, but because it's months, I would like to move him in the deal. Maybe somebody goes, well, I mean, I'll get Cruz back at the All-Star break. Maybe I'm in a good situation there. Here's a fun question.
In redraft, do you think you could? Okay.
I think he can. I think some people look. Everybody loves the talent of certain guys. Maybe you find the person that likes Cruz and says, a couple months, maybe they have depth, like you said, and we were talking about. Shortstop is one of those places where you have depth. A lot of people have multiple shortstops on their teams.
That's true.
This is one of the easier things to replace, but I'm looking more of a long-term guy, the Rosarios, the Seagers, guys like that, as opposed to the Tarangs who are not even everyday players. But if you have to, that's a stopgap. Dan G wants to know, what do you do with Giolito and Lance Lynn? Start or sit? I start them this week, and I try to just move on. I'm not trying to do too much there. I want to fly through the rest of these headlines because there's a lot to talk about, and we spent a lot of time on ONeil Cruz. The Rays 9-0. Of course, it helps that they're playing the Oakland A's and the Washington Nationals. Grand slam for Brandon Lau. You had Wander Franco with another home run. Pretty impressive stretch there for them. Aaron Judge, 2 more home runs for him against the Orioles. That's 19 in Baltimore. That's the most he has in any other ballpark in his career. Here's some hit streaks for you. Jose Abreu, 10-game hit streak. Jordan Walker, 9-game hit streak. These are 2 of your guys, Welsh. Must feel pretty good that these guys having hot starts.
Yeah, I mean, Abreu has definitely been one of those for sure. The Walker one is actually the most shocking because if you had laid out like all the rookies, like who's the rookie, clearly one I might have said, but like Walker, I don't think Walker would have been top 3. To be honest with you, if you just said who are the rookies, I probably would have went like Carroll, Gunnar, and then Volpe, and then went to Walker because everybody was making a big deal about like the strikeout numbers in spring and stuff like that. But he is just smacking the ball, and it's really, really impressive. And I haven't looked at the Rookie of the Year odds market, but I have to imagine he's probably the favorite at this point. Like him and Carroll's been so wishy-washy, but he's tied for second in stolen bases in the league that I'd have to mention the NL market is like dead close with those 2 right now.
By the way, also the update on Cruz, it looks like 10 to 12 weeks. So again, that's 3 months, folks. Like you need a long-term solution on that. All right. More headlines from the weekend. Gunnar Henderson was playing third yesterday, batting 8th. Really bad start. 167, 355, 333 slash. He's an interesting buy low right now. Jeffrey Springs, good luck buying low on him or high on him. You can't do anything. Another great performance on Saturday. Kodai Senga, another great performance from him too. One of my favorite guys, registering a 1.59 ERA, a 1.06 whip, 14 Ks in his first 11 1/3, and he's got just 6 walks. But both starts have been against the Marlins. This week against the A's. So the train keeps rolling. So if you don't believe in Senga, it's a fascinating time to sell high on him.
He was actually in my trade video last week.
Oh, was he?
And I don't. Hopefully, I had maybe said, maybe you could see another start or 2. I'm still worried about when the league fully catches up. But sometimes what happens is it doesn't happen for a little bit. So maybe keep that in the back of your mind, that trade coming soon, because he should slice and dice Oakland up. But maybe that's a time to start, sparking that up in the trade market.
More on the Oakland A's in a second. By the way, Roldis Chapman struck out a pair of batters. He looks very good so far. I would be picking him up anywhere and speculating, because even if he doesn't close for the Royals, he's gonna be useful to somebody. I could see the team like the Mets going after him. I'm telling you, if he pitches the way he is right now for another 4 or 5 weeks, the Royals have a trade chip on their hands. All right, let's get to some injuries. Michael Harris officially goes on the IL with a back. We knew that was going to happen. Andres Munoz going to the 15-day IL. It's retroactive to April 8th. Shoulder strain. They say it's more of a precautionary thing, so just keep your fingers crossed with that one. Travis d'Arnaud, never takes him long to get on the IL. It's like a 7-day concussion, so we'll see how things go for him. Starling Marte had that neck strain on that slide in the third base, so we'll see what goes on with him. Keep an eye out for that. Adam Duvall, who was the best hitter in baseball besides Brian Reynolds to open the season, he leaves the game with a wrist injury. That's the same wrist he had surgery on last year. Welsh, what do you think about Duvall and this wrist? Are you incredibly concerned here?
I'm always worried about players with wrist injuries. That will never stop being a big worry. I mean, I think this kind of cools the train a little bit. And did they say like how long is this going to just be like the?
Not yet. Not from what I've seen yet.
See if there were anything. if it were anything longer than like the normal stint, you really do have to consider like replacement, like can you drop type of thing. I mean, you're talking about ONeil, Cruz and trading. Not that Duvall was this big piece, but he's also not a piece I probably sit around for like for a crazy long time. But hopefully you got the IL spots, you put him out there and you can find a replacement bat.
All right, here's another one from your Arizona Diamondbacks. So Zach Davies goes on the IL. Drey Jameson, who we just talked about last week, shifting to the rotation.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on this here? We told everybody to pick him up last week. He's one of those guys on our lists. Your thoughts about Drey Jameson and what potential he has as a starter or even limitations for that matter?
Yeah, this was actually what I said at the beginning of the year. I was like, oh, Bumgarner goes out. This will be Jameson. And then they put Jameson into that relief, that save role. You know what I'm saying? Like that was so weird to me. So then I was like, oh, well, maybe they're going to relieve him and that's going to be the thing. And he could be the closer. And Brandon Pfaadt had his second start. It was much better pitch mix. It was like 53 or 58% fastball. Results, again, not phenomenal, but there. And I thought he might jump into that, but they made the commitment. And the big thing to watch for, and I think we'll see, is that heavy slider usage. And if he does that, someone in the chat said, is this Strider 2.0? I don't know if it's Strider 2.0. I don't think Jameson has that same command, but early results are really, really positive. And I'm going to be really paying attention. Hopefully they talked about it to what catcher, because he had two different catchers. It was Moreno in the first one when he was awesome, and it was Herrera in the second one. And I don't know if that had to do with Torey Lovullo having the catcher call the plays. So if Gabriel Moreno is catching Drey Jameson, I'm going to feel very good about this next start. And like I said, hopefully you picked him up, because whether he was closing or starting, you're going to chalk up some strikeouts there. And right there, Drey Jameson went from 14% in TGFBI. I got him last week, so I was not paying this week, luckily.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, those are deep rosters, so I'm not surprised that he went for that much, because you're really grabbing at straws there. You want to get guys who can make an impact in those kind of leagues.
I paid about 7%, by the way. This was the week ago, and no one else bid me, by the way. And I was like, egg on my face, dumb idiot.
Proactive, not reactive. That's why you subscribe
$70
to the channel, FantasyPros MLB, so you watch our videos when we're not doing leading off to help you with your waiver wire pickup, so you're ahead of these things. See, ahead of the curve is good. Some good things here. Seiya Suzuki, AAA on Saturday, so he's starting to work his way back. Lars Nootbaar swinging a bat, working his way back. And Garrett Whitlock is confirmed he will be starting Tuesday against the Tampa Bay Rays, who
one more
can't
in here
lose a game, so.
That's not on this list was Joe Musgrove suffered a tiny little setback, and it looked like he was lining up to pitch this week. Now they said they're pushing him about 2 days on the rehab side, which looks like that will now push him into next week. So if someone was trying to sneak him in, it looks like he'll be back into action next week, not later Friday, Saturday of this week.
Here's a fun one. Brian Fouts, I can only assume the son of Dan Fouts, the famous quarterback from the Los Angeles Chargers, or San Diego Chargers to be more accurate back in the day. Someone just offered me a trade. I give up Tatis and Arenado and receive Goldie, Bregman, and JD Martinez. Thoughts on this? This is an interesting. Giving up Tatis and Arenado, those are two very good pieces. I think I prefer to just stay tight unless you really have depth issues. I like JD Martinez as a player, but I think you're giving up arguable. Like, I think the best player in the deal is Tatis, and I don't like to give up the best player in the deal. Welsh, what are your thoughts on this deal?
Oh, it's a big no for me. I mean, they of course they want to get Tatis now because you've already eaten half of the suspension. So it's like, hey, great, let's pay for this. Blah blah blah. No, Tatis is clearly the best player. I think you can look at this on
as rye with the mayo, really some Russian.
Arenado and Goldie maybe cross cancel each other. So it's like, would you trade Tatis for Bregman and JD Martinez? Absolutely not. That's a hold, buddy.
Speaking of Nolan Arenado, congratulations to him. He has 300th career home run over the weekend, so that's great. He is 19th all-time already, so top 20 and all-time MLB third baseman for home runs. Fun times. Here's a question for the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks. Have some fun in the chat. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. Tell me, who are the top 5 MLB third baseman home run leaders? One is very obvious. We all know who that is, I would think. I would think this crew knows that. But Welsh, you want to take a stab at some of the guys in the top 5?
Schmidt?
Yes, Michael Jack Schmidt would be number 1. That is correct.
Okay, that was number 1. Scott Rowland?
Nope, Scott Rowland is not in the top 5. There are 2 players from our from recent memory, and then one from my childhood. In there.
Let me ask you: do they?
And then one from Mike Mayer's childhood. In the
do they count if they moved positions?
No, I mean just like third baseman. I mean, this is their primary position. So
Well,
it's an
Miggy. I mean,
interesting question.
Miggy was a third baseman for his primary
No,
career.
not like me. The bulk of their career at third base. There you go.
Oh,
Here's
Chipper?
one. Mark's got it. Chipper Jones. There you
Okay.
go. No,
I don't know any
Brooks
others. I'm out.
Robinson, not the answer, by the way, Larry. So Brooks was a great fielder, but not at the very top of the home run pecking order. So let's continue on. I'll give you some more of those names here. Again, top 5 third base home run leaders all time. 3 up, 3 down from the weekend. Nelson Cruz, huge day on Sunday. 3 for 4 with a homer. The Padres just crushed the Braves 10-2. I'm telling you right now, this week, I might troll the Braves a little bit. They're missing Harris. They're missing d'Arnaud. They've got no Fried right now. This might be an interesting time to buy low on some Atlanta Braves if they struggle a little bit. Albies has gone off to a slow start. Matt Chapman has not gone off to a slow start. He had a huge day in that 12-11 victory for the Blue Jays, 3 for 5 with a homer. Chris Bubik, the Bubala, look at that. A great performance. I want to give some love to Bubala, 25-year-old southpaw, 9 strikeouts there in that best start of his career, perhaps. Here's your 3 down. You ready for this? This is fun. The Oakland A's are 2-7. Here's the Oakland A's team slash. You ready for this, Welsh? 192 batting average, a 265 team on base percentage, and a 320 collective slugging percentage with a 585 OPS, and the ERA 754 for the pitchers, 170 whip. So basically, whoever's playing the A's right now, you should be trolling the A's. Welsh, what do you think?
It sounds like Esteury Ruiz's slash line, and that pitching line might have been James Caprillion. Yeah, they're horrid. You know what's so crazy about that?
There's a couple right answers here. John's got a couple. Schmidt's one of them.
Beltre.
Eddie Matthews, Beltre, Chipper Jones. There's one more, kids. There's one more. And this is going to surprise you because this person is not in the Hall of Fame, and he's been one of those guys that a lot of people felt like he should have been. He's got 400 plus home runs, not in the Hall of Fame, if you could believe.
Really, what Mayer said was going to be my guess. Troy Glass was going to be
Troy Glass.
That was going to be my guess too.
Troy Glass.
Back with the A's real
he's
quick.
Not even top 10.
Back with the A's,
top 10.
I had a moment this weekend, and sometimes you can't overthink it, where like I kept looking. I was like, the Rays got to like stop it at some point. The A's can't be this bad. I can't go all in on Springs and Drew Rasmussen. Can I? Oh, no, you can't. You can definitely stack against them. I don't know when it's going to get right. It's the worst team in baseball. It's amazing. Look at how Washington looked like they're the best, worst rotation, and they're actually playing competitively. The A's are the most uncompetitive team, and congratulations on the 2024 first overall pick, Oakland or Las Vegas or whoever.
Congratulations to that person too. But look, a lot of people saying A-Rod in the chat. Aramis Ramirez is an interesting one. He's number 7. Greg Nettles, I should say Greg, not Craig Nettles, at 390, also not in the Hall of Fame. He's at number 6. Greg Nettles was a great player. 390 career home runs. He was captain of the Yankees. Darrell Evans at 414. Now, A-Rod is considered a shortstop because he played there longer in his career. So by baseball reference standards, yes, A-Rod would be in the top 5. He would be number 1. But if you take him out of the equation, it's Darrell Evans, longtime Atlanta Brave, played for the Detroit Tigers. Darrell Evans had a hell of a career. Just looking at these numbers here, it's a really good player. In a different era, but 414 home runs, that's a lot. Where was George Brett on this list? That is a great question. People forget George Brett was not the biggest home run hitter necessarily. I think that is one that gets kind of lost. He was number 15. He had 317. So, and Troy Glass, by the way, 320. So Troy Glass has more home runs, but a little bit different in terms of, 3,000 hits for George Brett and some other fun things. So this is it. This is a fun thing.
So you're saying there's a difference between George Brett and Troy Glass is what you're saying, Joe?
Yeah, there's a difference a little bit. Like Troy Glass is a nice player, but he ain't George Brett. George Brett was my dude as a kid. I love George Brett. Such a fiery SOB. He was great. Some other downs from the weekend. Reed Detmers, 4 earned. Gross. Kikuchi in that same game that had 20 runs. He gave up 6 earned. He did get the strikeouts up to 6 Ks in that game. But I'm still on Kikuchi. I know this was a bad start. I don't care. Let's get. I'm actually
on the inverse. I just want to say I'm still on Detmers. I'm still very in on Detmers.
I'm on Detmers too. I'm on both.
He went 5, giving up no earned runs, and then everything fell apart in the 6th. So I just want to throw that out there, maybe in the trade video.
All right, let's get to the prize picks. And don't forget, everybody, use that promo code leading off when you make your prize picks and sign up. You'll get 100% deposit match up to $100. Everybody likes free money. I know I do. And Welsh, we've got our betting group over at Betting Pros too. You can go ahead and log your bets, which is super fun. So Welsh, what do you have for your prize picks today? And I know at the top of the board, you got a Brian Reynolds one, and I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm going to go Brian Reynolds, 7.5 on the fantasy score. He has been scorching hot this year. This is one of my favorite, and I got him kind of across the board here, is Logan Webb. Another one of these guys that may or may not be in the trade video. I'm going with his fantasy score of 27 or over, and we'll talk about his strikeout prop here in just a little bit. Dodgers have been struggling as well, and Logan Webb's underlying stuff is still there. And then on top of it, I'm going with the crazy one because PrizePicks allows you to do other fun stuff that others don't, like Sandy Alcantara and Matt Strahm, no runs first inning. I will tell you this, that seems like a wacko one. Matt Strahm was really good in his last start, and I don't particularly think that top end of the Marlins offense is crazy, so I like that one a lot, obviously because of Alcantara as well. So Brian Reynolds fantasy score, Logan Webb 27 on the fantasy score, and Alcantara Strahm, no runs first inning, and $20 will pay you 100 on this PrizePicks.
Like that. I've got Zach Gallen on the under on the 6.5 strikeouts. Gallen hasn't been good. The velocity's down. The walks have been up. He wasn't good in the spring. I typically don't worry about that, but we start to carry the bad spring into April. I start to get a little concerned, especially when the velo is down, and the velo is down right now. So let's just keep a close eye on Zach Gallen. He's either, I talked about this on the Sunday morning show on Sports Grid. I said, Zach Gallen is either a great buy low or a perfect sell high right now, while he still has value if you're worried about him. And it sounds like I'm walking the fence, but I'm not. I think a lot of it has to do with your roster construction. If you have a pitching staff that's very thin and you've got Zach Gallen, you can't afford for Gallen to be bad. You can't afford for him to get hurt. This is an interesting time to kick the tires and see if somebody sees it an opportunity to buy Gallen. If you have a great pitching staff and everything's going really well and you've got a lot of depth, this is a fascinating time to buy Zach Gallen, because this is a guy that when he's right, at the end of last year, he was basically Jacob deGrom in the last 2 months. Like, he was unbelievable. So I'd be buying, but I can see the case for either. Besides Zach Gallen, I've got Julio Rodriguez against the Cubbies today and Drew Smiley. Let's go. 8.5 fantasy points, the over. And Mike Trout. Guess who's pitching today for the Nationals? It's Patrick Corbin, my favorite guy.
Hey, Patrick Corbin day. Stack against him.
All of Mike Trout, 9.5 points. Let's go. You can see it's a high number for Trout. It's 9.5. That's typically high in the price point scale. And I think he's going to crush that number. It's going to be crazy. Some of my bets for the day as well. The parlay of the day, and got to bounce back here. The stupid White Sox beat me up on Thursday and Friday, back to back. So here you go. You got the Angels against Patrick Corbin. You got the Marlins with Sandy Alcantara on the mound today, and you've got the Seattle Mariners going against Drew Smiley. You put those three together, it's plus 301 on the money line. Take the three big favorites there. Good situations, especially Alcantara against the Phillies. You're getting a good number there. And if you're feeling really spry, you can throw Houston and Framber Valdez in that one and get 5-1. And of course, I felt spry, so of course I did it. So there you go. So 5-1 on that. Patrick Corbin, 3.5 earned runs. I'm on the over on this one. Again, these are all from our Betting Pros cheat sheet at bettingpros.com. Mike Trout, 0.5 RBI over. You get that on DK. You get the Corbin number over on BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, and Julio, 0.5 runs over on BetMGM. You're getting a decent number there as well. So Welsh, what are you on in terms of the betting world today?
Well, I've actually also got a money line parlay, and I will point out it's one great reason to hang here. The only thing we haven't quite got yet on the Betting Pros is we can't log in parlays. And I will tell you, I've actually done really good on two player prop parlays. I hit 2 different hit prop parlays this weekend, and my money line prop parlays have been very, very good. So we can't do that. So you got to listen here for them. And I have got actually 2 teams you talked about. Give me the Angels and Houston money line prop parlay. At least when I took it early this morning, it was plus 120 if I want to take those 2 guys out. So bam, I actually put 2 units on that one. My favorite play of the day, Logan Webb, strikeouts 4.5 over. Trying to play for 5. The Diamondbacks were putting some strikeouts up over the Dodgers. Logan Webb, much better underlining stats. And I'm taking the Mariners 0.5, favored by 0.5, first 5. So in the first 5 innings, I'm projecting them to be up by 1 run with Luis Castillo on the mound up against the Cubs. So again, it's first 5 Mariners, Logan Webb over strikeouts, and then a Houston Angels money line parlay. Those are my 3 favorite bets, and I've bet them all. I have money on all of them. So
he bet them all, folks. He bet them all. All right, let's go to the DFS stuff of the day. Look, the San Diego Padres seem to give the Mets fits, so I know Scherzer's on the mound, but I think it's an interesting opportunity to go oppo with Yu Darvish, who gives them fits, especially if Marte's out of the lineup, which I'm assuming he is today. So just kind of circle back to that. Bryce Elder, the Elder, 8.3 on FanDuel. He's cheap. And Luis Castillo against the Cubs at 10.5. Love that. Seattle, Los Angeles, Angels of Anaheim. Those are the teams I'm stacking. You've got some really good cheap guys in the middle for the Angels. Renfro's starting to heat up. Rendon is back. They're both 2.8. Teoscar Hernandez is just 2.8 on FanDuel. So you're getting a lot of good guys there for the Seattle Mariners, for the Angels. So definitely look at that. And again, join our betting group at bettingpros.com/leading off. It's fun to track your bets, and you just gotta click. You don't even have to put your money in. You're just clicking your picks, basically. So if you're somebody that doesn't want to wager, you just want to have some picks and have some fun, then go do it. I mean, we're all about fun. Well,
I love fun. It's also a great way, by the way, if you're ever like gonna dabble, if you just want to go and track and see how you do without betting, it's actually a really just good way to build confidence. And also it breaks down what you're good at. It will tell you, hey, what's your best sport? What's your best? Is it props? Is it lines or whatever? So maybe you guys can go and lock that in. Respect your elder.
Respect your elder. This is from Derby knowledge there. By the way, well, speaking of fun, before we get to the home run calls of the day and call it a day, boy, this is the quickest Monday recap we've had. This was fun. I saw this. I know we've heard of the slurves and all the gyro balls and all these other things going up. Let's talk about the Slutter, which I'm pretty sure this was your nickname in college, I believe. So
I threw a pretty nasty Slutter.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard you were more of like a, you go out there, not like a 7-inning kind of pitcher.
Careful, Joe.
Putting that out there. But here's the thing. So this was out there. I saw this on social media. I thought this was really funny. The Slutter, which I had never heard of. And I feel like at this point, we're just making things up. But if you're watching on our YouTube channel, again, Fantasy Pros MLB, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and click that little bell that goes ding for notifications. What do you think about the Slutter here?
Well, how do you think the Slutter moves, Joe? Show me the grip for the Slutter, please.
I would say the Slutter moves early in the morning, wearing the same clothes from the night before. That's what I would say.
I was about to start. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to clear my hands. We're not going to do any Slutters. No, thank you. But yeah, it's a great pitch. I'm excited to see how it all plays out.
Donnie C, he probably knew a few Slutters back in his day. Oh, cousin Donnie always showing up at the right time. I'm sorry. We had to talk. It's funny. Funny.
We had to.
Baseball is fun. It's supposed to be fun. You know what else is fun? The home run board. So let's get after it. Before we do, great. Just a reminder, if you're watching this video, comment below about, your experience trying to hit the Slutter. 1 year free premium upgrade you might get. That's right. And if you don't want to wait, head to fantasypros.com/premium. Just upgrade today, because when you do, you get all of the perks from my playbook, the lineup assistant, the waiver assistant, the trade analyzer, the league analyzer, the life analyzer. It changes your whole universe. And here's our home run board. Look at this. Boom. Prime time. 897 up at the top. BHB Daddy has been knocked off the pedestal for a little while. Our boy Larry C. Look at that. Before Carlson up there. Carlson. Sorry, not Carlson. Randy, Yoshi Masters. We've got DFH Jr. You guys, some of these names are really good. Like Mr. Zamboni, that's a good name. Help Us in Miami, that's a good name. Some of the other ones, like, you gotta step up your name.
Randy?
No, actually, that's the best
Randy.
Right, because it reminds me of Randy Marsh, who is hilarious. All right, Welsh, let's get to the home run calls of the day. Mine's easy. Where I see Patrick Corbin, I see home run, so I see Mike Trout. There it is. Let's not overthink this, boys and girls. And I'm so mad again because over the weekend I picked Freddie Freeman and I really wanted to pick Pete Alonso. Those are the two guys that was going back and forth. And of course I picked the wrong one. So I'm now in a Welsh streak right now.
I was going to go for a Judge weekend, and that would have been great. I ended up going Matt Olson. And you know what Matt Olson did on the day? One of my favorite bets was his total base call. He got walked 3 times. So I guess I had the right logic, I suppose, but walk 3 times didn't work out. I'm going to go with a BVP play here. I'm going to go with Goldie. Goldie's got a great track record versus Herman Marquez, over 425 batting average with 4 homers against, and I believe this is in Colorado. Doesn't matter where it is. I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt. And I kind of agree. Who was it that I think it was Mr. Buster was like, I can't buy a homer right now. It's brutal. I can't buy a homer. I got one. I got one stupid homer.
Stick with the stars. The stars are hitting home runs. Alonso, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge. The big boys are launching balls right now. And I think that's what you just, it's April. Let's go. Now that we know that Judge stat too, anytime he's in Baltimore, I'm just going to pick Aaron Judge every day. Because 19 home runs in Baltimore is a lot. Some other news and notes here real quick before we get out today. Carlos Correa out Monday due to back tightness. That's great. Then you've got Luis Robert, who's back in the White Sox lineup today. That's good. You've also got Joey Gallo sitting out and Tristan McKenzie beginning his rehab already. So that's a good thing.
I gotta tell you, that White Sox game might be a really good fun bet. I might take the first 5 in that. Someone earlier said, I don't hate Dylan Cease, by the way. I just hate the inconsistency. He's got a K prop of 6.5, or maybe it's 7.5 that I think I kind of want to even take now, even though Joey Gallo's out. But also that first 5 might be great with 2 bats out of their lineup and Luis Robert back with the White Sox. You're just throwing that out there that might be a fun one for if you want to play the early game, because there's like a 4-hour gap between the first and the second game, which I hate. I don't know why they do
this is why I'm just playing the night slate, and I don't like, me, I try to stay away from the day slates on DFS if I can. Victor, by the way, in the chat saying Julio off Drew Smiley today. That was my second pick. So instead I just picked Trout because it's Corbin and I have money on Julio, and that's what you do. And again, don't forget everybody, fantasypros.com/chat to join our Discord. It's an amazing place to talk baseball, to hang out. You can also go make your home run calls, but you got to be premium for that. Mike Mayer will tell you, so there you have it. So Welsh, it was a fun weekend of baseball. Before we close the book on the weekend, did anything really stick out to you? Anything you saw performance-wise or player-wise, whether it be positive or negative from the Friday, Saturday, Sunday from whence we were not here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of I mean, I have actually a lot of that built into the trade video that's coming out on Fantasy Pros here soon that you guys can check out. And I will tell you, what's that?
Nice plug. Well done.
Oh, yeah, a little plug there. I was also ready to throw this in the garbage, this Corbin Carroll jersey, and he kind of came back this week. In the game I went to, he stunk, and then he ends up hitting a homer. He gets another stolen base, his 5th. He's still striking out, doesn't have a walk. I don't know. I mean, maybe we need to replace this. We need to find a reason for this to
No, it's fine. Just, oh my God.
If he goes hitless tonight, this is off. This is off.
You know what? My suggestion for you to replace it with this picture right here. That's the picture you replace it with right there.
I need an autographed copy of that, Joe. I need an autograph to put on the wall.
That's right. It's the picture.
You want Thin Mints?
Get down with the Thin Mints. There you go. Because he does. We do look alike.
That'd be a great way to get people's attention when they set up in front of your store, the grocery store that inevitably you guys are all standing at, and they're there, and a girl just walks up and she's like, "Ooh, wah!" And you're like, "Oh my God!"
Well, I better buy cookies from this wild animal of a child. So there you have it. I will say this, there's definitely you have the younger players like Walker gotten off to a hot start. You got Volpe on the other end of that, Gunnar Henderson, guys who aren't off to great starts. There's going to be panic soon, especially on the Yankee side with Volpe. So this is an interesting buy low opportunity. Volpe's a very good player. Okay. Agreed. He is the real deal. I am not concerned about him at all, especially with the Donaldson injury. That gives him a little bit more of a breath and a little bit more of a time frame to fail. Okay. If Donaldson was healthy and hitting, maybe, the infield gets squeezed, and Peraza, I believe, was dealing with an injury as well. I saw this weekend too. Yeah. So he wasn't 100%. So there's time here for Volpe. If anybody is a little quick on the trigger, sometimes those early April trades are the ones that win you leagues because somebody just can't, stand to be patient. They start to freak out. Kick the tires on some of these young players that are struggling right now because they don't have track records of being good. Sometimes that makes people a little worried. And don't forget, everybody, subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB. We're at 12.5, by the way, 12.5K on the subscriber level. We get to 15. I will wear the Girl Scout wig or whatever wig of Welsh's choice. So keep subscribing. And Welsh has the trade video coming out, I believe, tomorrow. I have the waiver wire video coming out midweek. So make sure you click that little bell for notifications so you watch them so you can go be ahead and be proactive instead of reactive to all these things. So go enjoy your baseball every day today. Good times here, the Welsh. Love you, brother. Good to see you. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.